Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. This is the Angels in Politics broadcast. Once again, I'm in the whip. I'm in the whip. You already know that I'm out here in these streets. Um, and I am your host, the creative and artistic manifestation. Shout out to the white collar gun. Um, yeah. I would like to have a conversation with you, and for those who have been listening, or for those who are like relatively keen on Goon TV, I appreciate you. Like, even for the people who don't fuck with it, like, I appreciate you even more so. But like, the people who have been like, yo, like, we've seen a video or two or whatever, and there are some topics that we don't want to discuss. Does it say is the term brooch? What I want to broach these topics, or broach these topics, or broach is something that you put on? I don't know. Broach these topics, whatever. There are some people who say like, hey, we don't really like a lot of that shit that you talk about, but some individuals say, you know what, Gabe, you might be spot on. I mean, not matter of fact, that might be 1%. Some people might say, well, you're not necessarily spot on, but there are some things that I do agree with, and I respect that too. So thank you for that. Right now, what I'm drinking, no, this isn't coffee. I know this is a mix for you, but no, this is hot water. Hot water with a little bit of lime in there for the alkalinity. Um, what I want to say today is, well, I have a few topics, but right now, I want to talk about day ones, right? Somebody says, what does that mean? Day ones are like people who you grew up with, people who you've grown up as far as like being friends, close friends. In our like culture, we don't really use the term best friend as much, but like these are the homies. You know what I'm saying? These are the people who you started off with in whatever, third grade, second grade, first grade, whatever, whether it was your church, people that you grew up with at church, whether it's people that you grew up with in school, maybe you had an extracurricular, whether it was karate, taekwondo, basketball, football, so on and so forth, and you just kept up with these people, right? That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing on all fronts for men and women. Whenever you find individuals whereby you've established a connection, you've established friendship, courtship, kinship, and it's something that you can you know that it's verified, it's solidified. It's like, damn, I can leave and I can go somewhere for years or months or an extensive period of time, and know when I come back, or know whenever I pull up, the homie is still the homie, my friend is still my friend, and we can pick up where we left off because we've established that mutual bond, because we have mutual respect for each other, and that's like what we call like reciprocity. Like, hey, like, you've given and I've received, and I've given and you've received, and whether it's through communication, whether it's through tangibles or intangibles, but like, hey, like, we've established our friendship and it's cool. I think that's truly important. um I read a book called The Alchemist, which I suggest that you read as well if you're into it. I mean, I'm not going to force you to do it, but I really think you should. And in The Alchemist, it has various themes that without throughout the book, but there is a part of the book whereby the protagonist says, you know, let's say you are, walking into a palace or a mansion, and this is the most beautiful palace and mansion that you've ever seen, right? Like, I come from modest means, or yeah, I never grew up in a mansion, so to speak, and most people haven't. I'm not saying everybody hasn't, but most people haven't. So let's say you are fortunate enough, or blessed enough, or lucky. I don't really like that term, but like, lucky enough to be invited to some lavish, opulent, grand party or grand event, and now you're, in this gated community, or maybe you're not even in the community, you're just in this castle that's like some sprawling estate, and it has all of the beautiful things, the most magnificent ornaments and ornate, treasures. I mean, the most decadent of decadence. Like, it's just the highest of the highest is there. As far as paintings, as far as artwork, as far as trinkets, as far as food, and the best food, and the finest wine, and the best champagne, and the most beautiful people. And if you're into the ladies, it's like the most beautiful of beautiful ladies are there. If you're into the guys, the most handsome of the handsomest guys are there. And it's just that's in this palace. And the host of this party tells you, hey, like, I'm glad you're here. Walk around. I want you to see the magnificent rooms. I want you to see everything that we have to offer. I want you to take note of these things. But first, here, and he gives you a spoon. He gives you a spoon, and in the spoon he puts 2 drops of oil in it. And he says, whilst you go and look and see whatever it is what you want to see, come back and then tell me what you like, or whatever the case may be. And you walk around and you have the spoon, and you're just captivated. You're just enthralled. I mean, I'm butchering the story, but like, I'm just trying to paint a picture. You're enthralled by all of the beautiful people and beautiful food and decadent artwork and gold and silver and shiny things and ornate things and magnificent, things that you've never seen before. And then you come back to the guy and you're like, yo, dude, like, what the fuck are you on? Like, this is incredible. Like, I've never seen anything like this. And then he says, well, look at your spoon. And you notice that those 2 drops of oil are no longer there, right? And the reason why those 2 drops of oil are no longer in your spoon is because you were so focused on the beautiful things. You were so focused on looking up and seeing the chandeliers and the artwork and the film and the books and the women and the champagne and the wine and the sex, and so much was going down in this party. So much was going down in this household. I mean there was so much that you didn't stop to really pay attention to what the fuck was in your hand. You feel what I'm saying? And that's kind of like the metaphor to life. The metaphor to life is, no matter where you go in the world, no matter what you see, what you do, how accomplished, how esteemed you are, or how cultivated. That's the term I like. How, no matter how refined, how educated you become, because normally education comes with experiential learning and immersive learning. So people who are refined and sophisticated become refined and sophisticated and educated and cultivated because they are put in these environments or ecosystems whereby they are inundated and immersed in these, cultivated environments or sophisticated people or refined, people. So you come back to where you came from. You go back to where you came from, and people might look at you like, who do you think you are? Right? Now your robes are, your robes are in lavender, and you have gold around your neck, and you have these beautiful, you have a beautiful wife now who doesn't speak English, and now you drive fancy cars, and you eat food that we don't eat because we never heard of it. And it's almost like you've gone to this point, and the metaphor in The Alchemist is you can never forget those 2 drops of oil in the spoon, because that is you. Do you feel what I'm saying? That's who you are. That's your beginning chapters, right? If your life is a storybook, you might be on chapter 30, you might be on chapter 40, but no matter how advanced, no matter how well-to-do, no matter how esteemed, no matter how educated and refined that you become, or professional that you may become, or whatever the case may be that you become, you can never, ever, ever turn your back or negate where you came from, because that makes up who you are. And that is the 2 drops of oil. And that can be the metaphor to, oh, that's my family back home. That could be that's my environment back home. No, and that could be your friends. Those are your friends back home too. That's your family, that's your environment, those are your friends. You feel what I'm saying? And I mentioned that because I saw on Twitter, I saw on my timeline that, and I think I mentioned this before, Homegirl said, I don't know who she was, Homegirl said, yo, like, guys are out here talking like, you know, Guys are the ones that are saying, yo, we've been with our day ones since day one. Or, girls can't hang with their friends from childhood because of their own issues, but guys, we can be with our friends since day one. And homegirl said, her response to that was, the reason why motherfucking guys still have their friends from day one is because they never grow. They never ascend. They never transcend. Most of these guys don't go out to become, their archetypal, hero, or become their quintessential self, or become the optimized version of themselves, or become the best version of themselves by cultivating or enhancing or upgrading or, developing their 5 or 6 areas of expression, meaning their psychological body, mental body, emotional body, spiritual body, physical body, social body. They never go out to test themselves or train themselves to ascend, to learn new things. So that's why they still have their day ones. They still got their day ones because they never left. They never wanted to test themselves. They never wanted to see what was on the other side of the fence, to see if the grass was greener. So they just stayed here and they just stayed with their homies. Well, the truth of the matter is she might have some truth to that statement. Not to say just because you don't leave small town Kentucky doesn't mean like you're doing something wrong. There are plenty of people who have, I would say the majority of people in America and around the world prefer to stay in their environment in which they grew up in because that's their preference and they're entitled to their preference. And God bless, because they are happy. What is life about? Life is about meaningful work and meaningful relationships. If you've established your meaningful work and you have a meaningful relationship, your meaningful relationship being whatever it is, your family, meaningful relationship being your wife, meaningful relationship being your children, which is part of your family, then meaningful relationships, maybe it's your high school, football team, your high school baseball team, your book club, your sorority sisters. Maybe it's if that's your meaningful relationships and you have meaningful work, meaning that I enjoy what I'm doing because I'm utilizing my spiritual gifts and I'm helping, I am serving, I'm dedicating myself to the angel markets, the spiritual markets, altruism, benevolence, caring, compassion, creativity, dedication, due diligence, hard work, empathy, encouragement, enthusiasm. If I'm dedicating myself to the spiritual markets, to the angel markets, and I have my meaningful relationships, then who gives a fuck about what's going on in Dubai? Who cares about what's going down in Christchurch, New Zealand? Who cares about what's going down in Shenzhen, China? I care, that's why I like to go to these places. But other people may not, and I will not say you're wrong for that. I might say, brother, you're winning. Sister, you're winning. You're winning if you are fully not even content. Like, content is not a good word. Settling is not a good word, not for me, because that might like signify like mediocrity or something. That might signify like, oh, like I could do better, but right now I'll just take this. Like, no. Like, if this is where you want to be in small town West Virginia, and you are not only content, but you're waking up happy, like, yo, this is it. I am popping. My family is here. My wife is beautiful, or your husband is great, and your children are great, and everybody is eating and healthy and wealthy and spot on. Then you won. Then you won. Then you won. Guys, there is some truth to that. There is some truth to that. But at the same time, whether you know it or not, there are a lot of guys who probably, and girls, let's not take them out of this. There are a lot of guys and girls who probably feel that, yeah, I've been with my friends and, I'm real because I'm still with my day ones, and I'm real because, I never changed, and I'm real because, I still got my same homies from the first grade. That's not the bad thing, brother. That's not the issue, sister, that you still got your friends from kindergarten, or you still got your same homegirls from Girl Scout, or you still got your same homegirls from the ballerina class, or you still got your same homegirls from, the step team back in middle school back in the 90s. That's not the issue. The issue is now that you're 30 plus, now that you're 20 plus, now that you're 40 plus, you don't have any other friends. You haven't even established any other relationships. Life is about meaningful relationships. If that's your most meaningful, which is from day one, which is great, based on political connections, that who you are as a person is the books you read and the people you associate yourself with. So I can just not even ask you where you're going in life. All I have to do is look around and see who the fuck you hang around with. So if the people who you hang around with are thriving, not surviving, if the people that you hang around with are ascending, transcending, if the people who you hang around with are cultivated, if the people who you hang around with are about self-improvement, then I don't have to ask you where you're going because you're going to be on that path. If your homies, if your homegirls, if your homeboys aren't up to, they're not up to much, they're not doing too much, maybe they're not taking care of their families, maybe they're not taking care of their health, wealth, and wellness, maybe they're not aligning themselves with their goals, maybe they're not aligning themselves with their purpose, maybe they're not aligning themselves to their figuring out what their spiritual gifts are, maybe they don't want to become the archetypal superhero. And they might say, what fucking superhero is that? I'm talking about you, the best version of yourself, the best version of yourself, manifesting your destiny, manifesting your dreams. Maybe they don't know, maybe your friends aren't even into manifestation. Maybe they're not reading. What the fuck is going on? You're not reading? Maybe they're not writing. They're not writing down. They don't have any affirmations. They don't have any dreams. They don't have any goals. They don't have anything that they're trying to accomplish in life. They're not writing that down. They don't have plans. There's no such thing as luck. Opportunity meets preparation. Opportunity meets planning. That's luck. Well, opportunity is every day that you open your eyes. Opportunity is 24/7. Opportunity is you got out of the bed and you can breathe. That's opportunity. So if you have no plans, then these are your friends. Like that's your homegirl. That's the motherfucker that you say, yo, shout out to my day one. Yo, yes, shout out to your day one. Never forget the drops of oil in your fucking spoon. But if you cannot walk around and say, I've been out of my environment to see the mansion, I'm not telling you to go into like literal mansions and walk around and frolic with, beautiful people and drink the champagne and do drugs and see the gold ornaments and see the chandeliers and go to some Los Angeles mansion party and get into some shit. Like, no, like, I mean, that might be what I, was into, whatever. But my thing is, you need to figure out what is it that you need to do? And are your friends holding you back? Are your friends keeping you where you want to be or keeping you confined because you're thinking like, oh man, I'm doing the right thing, I'm still with my homies? Well, look around and tell me how that's turned out for you. Look at your fucking homegirls. Do you want to be them? Somebody might say, man, my homegirl's popping. All my homegirls are popping. All my homegirls are doing good. Well, if that's the case, then continue that. But, Jay-Z said it back in the day, man, everybody looking at you strange. They say you changed. It's like you work that hard to stay the same. Like when you start working hard, when you're in the gym, you don't pump iron in the gym to look the same. You don't run 3 miles, 4 miles, 5 miles to look the same. You don't go to the fucking Bikram hot yoga class, drenched in fucking sweat to the point that you feel like collapsing when you walk out of there for you to do that for months in and out for you to look the same. You don't drink the kale and strawberry, blueberry, banana, apple shake and juice with the apple cider vinegar with the wheatgrass powder. You don't drink that to look the same. You don't do any of these things. You don't read books and more books to speak and articulate and apply and integrate and interface the same. You do not do those things to be the same. What the fuck are you on about? Because you upgraded does not mean you lost a friend. You might need to put your friends down for you to upgrade. In order for you to upgrade. Do you understand? That's how that goes down, homegirl. That's how that works, homegirl. God bless. Color gun.